What's up, people? Welcome back. This is That Awesome Group. We are back here again. This is your boy, Dark Oob, Alex, whatever you want to call me. And today we are talking about Stranger Things Season 3. This is a review. This is a spoiler warning, too. So, if you ain't seen it, don't watch this review, because I'm spoiling. I'm putting everything out there in the open. You're gonna know how I feel. But anyway, so starting from the beginning though. Alright, so Stranger Things Season 3 starts off, I would say, it's kind of slow. Kinda. But it's also like a breadcrumb type thing. Like they just leave breadcrumbs for you to follow, until everything pops off pretty much at the end of episode 3 and at the end of episode 4, things get real. But it does start off, with the kids, they've all grown a bit, 11, she's now dating your boy, and they are like kissing 24/7. It is the most, I don't know which one to call this. It's interesting. With the cop guy, as he's like just annoyed by this. Just completely annoyed. Like you could tell that he is definitely completely taking her on as like his daughter, and as any father would act very annoyed when the daughter's boyfriend is at the house kissing 24/7, and they're like, I don't know how old they're supposed to be now, like what, 11 or something, 10, 11, 12, 13. Anyway, they're young. But and it also starts with I believe Dustin coming back from being away from a month. He was at science camp, I believe. Apparently, he has a girlfriend too, who you find out later that is actually real, because the whole joke in all episodes he's in is that he has this girlfriend, and they cannot get in contact with his girlfriend Susie, but she exists. Finally, at the end of the actual series, you finally get to see her, because she actually plays quite an interesting role by the end of the season. It's like everyone has you could see they're all like teenage years now for them. So at least where it's going to, like pre-teens, teenage years, they all like seem to be growing apart in some ways or another. There's an undertone to this one that is kind of, bittersweet, because there are things happening while you're seeing all this happiness. There's this mall that's been built, right? And under this mall, there are Russians. Well, definitely, the Russians are under the mall trying to burrow a way to the upside down, aka the same shit we've been dealing with the last 2 seasons. The Russians are trying to do it again. The Mind Flayer, who was like the monster in season 2, was like the big giant one that kind of like a spider, was never actually gone. He never actually left once they closed the hole. I guess he was kind of like weak and biding his time. And so he's like taking over people, some old invasions of the body snatcher type stuff. You find out early on that there's like these rats that have been eating manure and eating all types of poisons and things. And you see, like in this dark area, that there's like these rats go there and they die and they blow up and it turns to like these piles of like mush. But what you don't understand until later on is that the piles of mush have literally become sentient, and they go into like the Mind Flayer and it just making them more powerful. Then by, I would say, by the end of episode 4 and be in episode 5, everything starts to come together. Everything starts to speed up. Then you're starting to get the feeling of how drastic things really are. You start to get this feeling kind of early when you see Billy. Billy, they kind of put quite the emphasis on Billy, Max's brother. Him just being a lifeguard, and the women love him, all that. Now see, he hits on one of their moms, and was trying to set up like this whole little date thing. And she reluctantly seems to agree. Little do they know. So that night, when he's going to this motel to meet up with this mom, something jumps out in front of his car. He crashes, and long story short, he gets captured by the Mind Flayer. and he becomes like the conduit, like the carrier. He becomes the main one. It kind of reminded me of what was that movie? The Faculty. It kind of reminded me of The Faculty, where it's like one person's the main one, and then he kind of infecting others. Now, also, what's also happening is that 11 and the boy breaks up. She starts hanging around with Max more. They go to the mall, you know, go shopping, do a more girly-esque things that young ladies would do. Because since 11 is always kind of trapped in the house, she doesn't do these things. So Max introduces her to these things. They're having a time of their life, while the boys are all met up at the mall as well, trying to find an item so that he could buy to apologize to 11. Now, it's so many things going on. Dustin has like his own story going on with the Russians. Dustin and the Russians are the thing. But then there's Will. Now see, I have a problem with Will's role because, you know, in the first one, it was like everybody was trying to find Will, you know, because he got taken. You know, everything centered on trying to get him out of the Upside Down. Then in the second one, it was like, you know, he was still there. He was having like panic attacks, like he was still there. He was like, it was like he was looking through both worlds sometimes. But in this one, he has like taken a complete backseat to everything in these stories. Like there's still things there for him. Like he still has like this damn tingle on his neck because he's still somehow connected to the Mind Flayer. He feels shunned. He definitely is the one that feels shunned by his friends because his friends are all growing apart. While he is still the same type of person that he was in season 1 and 2. Let's put it this way. He's like the one that hasn't started hitting puberty yet. That's what it feels like. People die. You know, people are dead at the end of this. Not saying that people didn't die in the rest of them either, because yes, people died, but like some main characters died in this one. Or at least I'd say we assume they died. Well, to put it correctly, I personally don't think that the cop is dead. I don't think he's dead. Because there's a scene that happens at the end. This is a complete spoiler. Where they go to Russia. There's a scene that happens in Russia where they have this jail in Russia. And they say some things to themselves in Russian. And the guy mentions, you know, I guess they're about to grab one of the prisoners. And he was like, he's going to one of these doors. He was like, no, not the American. The other prisoner. And then they go and grab one of these prisoners, they throw him in this jail cell, and then you realize that they have one of these monsters that was literally, I believe in season 2, one of these monsters they have captured. And they pretty much fed this guy to the monster. I personally think the American is the cop because you don't see him actually die when they're shutting off this whole laser drill thing. You don't see him die. No one sees him die. You just know that he was there at one point, and then when the laser blows up, he's not there. But you see everybody else who dies from these lasers. You see everybody else die. Like, horrifically. Now, Billy's dead. He dies sacrificing himself for 11. That's a spoiler. Another one for you guys. But Billy can die because his sister Max is the more important character. She's good. She's also sad as I don't know what. She's also crying. And the crazy thing about Billy is that he's like portrayed as the villain. Like he was always kind of like a jackass. Like even in the second season, he was kind of like a jackass. But in this one, you start to feel for Billy because 11 does her little magical thing and goes into this little space that she goes into when she covers her eyes and all that, blah, 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 to go find Billy. But then there's a point where she touches Billy and then she sees his past happen. And then she kind of sees what happened to their mother. And it's like so sad because it's like, yeah, you know, he grew up and he's like an asshole, but there's a reason he's an asshole. Like the father used to beat on him, but the father was also beating the mom too. So it's like, whatever. he dies, but it's kind of heart-wrenching, like, because like the last thing he did was kind of heroic. So it's like, damn, they just gonna let Billy die after he did something good and good in his life. Oh well. But I personally, I believe it was very good. I liked it. It wasn't as focused as season 1. I think season 1's still the better one. Now, see, whether it's as good as season 2, I mean, I don't know. It's debatable whether it's as good as season 2. I would say I put season 2 and season 3 like right neck and neck between each other. Like, I thought they both were still great, even though there are things that happen that kind of takes them away from the main things at hand. But it's a show. I mean, it happens, and they do things like this. But it's so many things going on in this one. Now, I very much enjoyed it. It was very enjoying to watch, only because, like, I don't know, it's just something about Stranger Things. When you watch it, you get that feeling of nostalgia, like being a kid, wanting to go on adventures. Like, it's like The Goonies, it's like Stand By Me, it's like all those old 80s and early 90s movies about kids going on adventures and growing up, all wrapped in one thing, wrapped in one whole show. Now, I won't say that this season was perfect. It wasn't. It's very successful. I would definitely say it's definitely one of Netflix's, I think, more consistently great series. Now, where do we go from here? I don't know. I mean, that whole Russia subplot is not over because, well, like I said at the end, they definitely touch on that. Now, is the Upside Down still going to be like the main crux of the story? Or will it be more like everybody growing up apart from each other and then eventually trying to have like a reunion? I feel like they will go that way. Or maybe like the next season is like some old, it only happens in the summer. So everybody's not in school, so they all have a reason to be with each other. Who knows? Look, I can't wait for season 4, which we'll probably be waiting for a while. But it was a great show, and it's wonderful at the moment. Go watch it, enjoy it, leave in the comments how you feel, and do you think the American that is trapped with the Russians, do you think it's the cop? I personally think it's the cop. Who else could it be? But, this has been the review. This is That Awesome Group. We're signing off. We are the fans, we are the geeks, and we are the gamers. And we are awesome. That's another review down. Peace.